right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. I'm proud of this radio station for always being so supportive of veterans. We have a veterans program every Thursday at no cost to the veterans. They come in here once a week and they can give the news about what's going on in the local veterans community, the local veterans resources. They have guests that they bring into the show, and it's to the credit of the Martone family that show is on every Thursday, and it's something I've been proud of forever. Today being Veterans Day, obviously, we want to make sure we thank all our veterans. I think we thank them all the time, but it's a special day set aside so that the rest of us have this, annual reminder that our freedom is not free, and that it was a group of people we call veterans as a large group to thank for our freedom. Dr. Benjamin, is it Kligler, Rob? Am I saying the name right?
Yes.
Is the acting executive director of the Veterans Health Administration Office of Patient-Centered Care and Cultural Transformation. The VA's whole health system and its benefits is the topic specifically. And there's actually a website, va.gov/whole health. Dr. Kligler, good morning, sir. It's an honor to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And where are you?
Right now I'm in Washington, D.C.
So we have had, and this is not to say something disparaging, but we've had not always complimentary things said about the VA, but it seems like to me in the last maybe even 5 years that things have improved a lot. Can you talk to that a second?
Absolutely. I think the whole health approach to care that we're talking about today is a great example of the VA really stepping forward to bring a progressive and a novel and effective approach out to veterans. And VA is doing that in all kinds of ways, and I think the whole health approach is one great example of that.
And one area, and I don't know if you want to stay on this topic too long, was PTSD. I was listening to a podcast out of New York of a veteran who was walking from Buffalo, New York to New York City, stopping at all the homeless shelters, and especially those with PTSD, veterans homeless shelters, I should say, and kind of doing a study on it. And he himself said that he lives with his PTSD, knowing every night before he goes to bed that he's going to have a nightmare, but he just lives with it. He just knows that's part of his life. What is that part of health and mental health? It's all part of the same thing, right?
Absolutely. I think some of the challenges that our veterans face are really tremendous, and this is part of why we are needing to really reach out for new ways to help them tackle some of these problems like PTSD. And part of what's important is that everyone, of course, but every veteran in particular is an individual. And so the whole health approach to care really focuses on, let's look at you as an individual, not a diagnosis, not a disease, but an individual with lots of strengths and lots of abilities to help yourself move forward in your life. And let's make that our job as your healthcare system to help you identify those strengths, help you make them even stronger, help you with tools, whether it's PTSD, chronic pain, one of the other typical problems that many veterans have. We can work with you as an individual to help you find the best way to move forward to help you with that issue.
And sometimes it's better for somebody outside of the family to help the veterans move forward on this than family members.
Right. Well, I don't think you can do it without your family. I think everybody needs their family, and our whole health approach actually tries to help people focus, among other things, is how can I build up my strength in helping my family support me, but at the same time bringing in all these resources that the VA has to offer can really support the family as well as the veteran in helping address some of these problems. Sometimes you can't do it alone, and your family can't do it all for you, but that's why we're here for you at the VA. There
are certain things we hear about regarding veterans' health that are specific to a certain group. For example, the Lejeune Air Force Base water, or the Agent Orange from the Vietnam vets. Talk about them a little bit and how that plays, how the whole health approach treats those things.
Well, I think what's important is that VA is working hard to find the medical ways to address all those particular problems, and at the same time, whatever problem it is that you're dealing with, whether it's an exposure or PTSD or chronic pain, the idea of whole health as focusing on the individual and what's most important to them is really a universal idea across the board, that whatever problem you're dealing with, whether it's related to an exposure, related to pain, related to mental health, finding the ways to expand the toolbox and the set of options and resources that you have to make yourself stronger in dealing with that issue is a winner. No matter what the underlying problem or set of problems is, finding the way to build your own resources, your own strengths, and take advantage of this expanded set of tools, that's what whole health is trying to do.
And that's why this is such a blessing, because it's totally individual, personalized treatment, and each veteran has their own goals to reach.
Right, absolutely. And so you might work with a health coach, you might work with a fellow veteran who's been trained as a peer, you might be focused on developing some new skills like learning Tai Chi or meditation. It can take a lot of different forms, but the idea is regardless of what the problems you're bringing, everybody has strengths and everybody has the capacity to build up those strengths if they just have a team that can help them figure out a plan for how to do that. That's what we're aiming for.
We obviously have the spectrum age-wise when it comes to veterans. Are the younger veterans less reluctant to utilize the services of the VA?
In terms of the whole health services, I think it pretty much crosses all the boundaries. So older veterans, middle-aged, younger veterans, really everybody's interested in being able to expand out into things like receiving acupuncture or learning self-care skills. I think depending on the individual area of the country, there's a different balance between younger and older veterans. But our goal really is to make it work for everybody, regardless of your age. And what's interesting is that the receptivity and the openness of veterans to using this whole health approach and some of these more expanded toolbox of therapies, it's really across the board. It's not governed by age or gender or any specific factor. We just see a huge amount of interest all the way across the system.
And do some veterans stay in denial for fear that if they admit to needing help, that might affect the jobs that they're working in right now?
Sure. I mean, I think veterans, like everybody else, it's hard to admit when you need help.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And in that sense, I don't think veterans are any different. And so I think finding ways to make that help available without having any kind of stigma attached is really, really important.
Well, as this is Veterans Day, we have an amazing organization in our community called Vets Helping Vets, and they have their open door policy to anybody who needs questions answered. If you're a vet, for just to make it local for a second, Doctor, the location is over by, well, it's actually in the old library building. I'm sorry, the old bowling alley.
It's right next door to the Marion County Public Library headquarters.
That's where it is. So yeah, if you're a veteran and you need some help, they will help direct you. But for everybody else, maybe you have somebody out of town or something and they don't have access to that resource center. Doctor, what website would you recommend for them to be able to look further into what's available?
The website is va.gov/whole health, just all one word. And there's lots of information there about what's the philosophy behind this, what are some of the tools, like something we call the personal health inventory that can help people get started, and also information about how to access this at your local VA. So we encourage everybody to go there and learn more about it.
Very good. Doctor, thank you for being on the show with us, and happy Veterans Day, and thank you for your service.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. We'll be right back.